Revealed, the hidden secret plan my husband never expected. A life-changing surprise awaits. The morning sun cast golden rays over the cornfields, as Jessica hurried to the local diner where she worked tirelessly to support her family. The smell of brewing coffee and fresh pancakes filled the air, but today held a weight in her heart that felt heavier than the clinking of silverware. She glanced at her husband, Mark, a reserved Vietnam War veteran, as he sat quietly at their worn kitchen table. He stared into the distance, lost in thoughts that cut deep. Shaking her head, Jessica refused to dwell on the seriousness in his eyes. She was determined to bring joy back into their lives. Just last night, she had overheard Mark whispering to himself, "I'm failing them." She felt a pang in her chest. The realization that he felt crushed under unfulfilled dreams ignited a spark in her. Jessica concocted a secret plan, a fundraiser that could honor Mark's sacrifices while giving their family a chance at a happier future. She rallied friends, neighbors, and even local businesses to support her dream. But doubts echoed around her, voices of familiar faces expressing hesitations about the town's economic hardships. "How can anyone think about a fundraiser when we're just scraping by?" they asked. Yet, Jessica clung to the strength of their community, recalling the laughter shared at countless potluck dinners. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Days counted down to the event, but tension built as a storm rolled in, tearing through the outdoor venue just before the fundraiser. A sinking feeling quickened Jessica's heart. Her dreams seemed to wash away with the rain. The diner remained hectic as she juggled her shifts, all while keeping her plan a secret from Mark. Guilt twisted in her gut, yet she believed they deserved something more. Just when hope started to fade, a beloved local elder stood up amidst the chaos and addressed the crowd. "This is about coming together," he exclaimed, his voice steady. "In our struggles, we find strength. Let us honor each other and lift one another up." Jessica could feel the crowd breathing life back into her plans. She felt an undeniable pull surge through her, connecting everyone with the promise of community, but the heart of her plan was soon revealed when Mark stumbled into the crowd, drawn by whispers about the event. His eyes widened as he took in the decorations and table settings, the laughter and smiles surrounding him. Anger flickered across his face, followed by confusion and finally, shock at the sacrifice Jessica had made hiding her plans from him. "Why didn't you just tell me?" he demanded, emotions crashing over him like waves. Pride warred with his love for her and their children. As the crowd held their breath, Jessica felt the weight of the moment. Could Mark rise above the burdens he clung to? Would he embrace not only the love she offered but the idea that together they could face their fears? In that charged silence, she could sense hope flickering. Would this gathering be the spark they needed to conquer their challenges, leaving them all wondering what lay ahead? Mark's gaze darted from the vibrant streamers to Jessica's expectant expression, confusion etched into his features. The joy surrounding them buzzed like a nervous hum, punctuated by the occasional warm laughter from familiar faces. Yet, his heart was a tempest. He felt a mix of anger, betrayal, and an overwhelming sense of pride that battled within him. "Jessica, you shouldn't have to do all this alone," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, as if he were afraid that his own words would tumble down around him. The crowd shifted, sensing the weight of the moment. A few friends exchanged glances, unsure which way this would swing. Would it bring them closer, or would it force them apart? Jessica took a step towards Mark, heart pounding. She could see the conflict twisting his features, and it broke her heart all over again. "I believe in us, Mark," she replied softly, reaching out to touch his arm, hoping the warmth of her hand could dispel some of the cold anxiety that gripped him. "We need each other, and I just wanted to show you how much you mean to all of us. The sacrifices you've made, everything you fought for." There it was, the pain she hadn't expected to surface in this moment. Mark's sorrow spilled over, and he turned his gaze away, clutching at the memories, the ghosts of battles fought beyond the cornfields. He was the steadfast veteran, the strong silent type, and yet here he was, crumbling under the weight of Jessica's unwavering faith. As he stood there, he was bombarded by voices from his past, the guilt of not being enough, the echo of camaraderie lost, and the shouts of friends who had failed to make it back. It wasn't just a surprise party, it was a reminder that they survived the storm, but were they truly thriving? "I'm scared, Jess," he admitted finally, the admission tasting bitter against his tongue. "I don't know how to be what you and the kids need. I don't know if I can handle any more expectations, or I don't want to let you down. No matter what you feel, no matter the weight of your past, we can do this together," Jessica replied, fiercely determined. "You've done so much for us. It's our turn to lift you, to show you that you're not alone." The crowd slowly began to nod, empathy wrapped around them like a comforting blanket. Encouragement emerged in murmurs, support glimmered in the eyes of those who had come to celebrate. Mark's resolve began to soften at the warmth surrounding them. Together, they stood at the center of a swirling storm, but here was a flicker of hope, a chance to find light through all the shadows he carried. The moment stretched on, emotions rising like steam in the air, the chance to reshape their lives teetering just beyond reach. But just as Mark began to nod, accepting the outstretched hands of his family and community, a crack of thunder erupted above them, and the heavens opened up once more. Guests shrieked, laughter turned to surprise, and the transformation of the fundraiser stood at the brink of disaster once again. Jessica squeezed Mark's hand tighter. "We'll face this together," she promised. As the rain poured, doubt still lingered. Would the community rally behind them? Or would the storm wash away their dreams once and for all? A single thought echoed in Jessica's mind: could they truly transform their tears of silence into rivers of connection? A storm raged within her heart, leaving everything uncertain as the vibrations of a shared future hung in the balance. Would tonight lead to a new dawn or a retreat into darkness? Suddenly, the rain hammered down in sheets, and the party transformed into a flurry of chaos. Guests scrambled for cover, laughter turning into excited shouts of surprise and concern. But amidst the frenzy, Jessica stayed tethered to Mark, their hands tight together like anchors in a swirling sea. Her heart raced as she processed the weight of everything they had just shared. "Stay close," she said, urgency flashing in her eyes. The storm felt like a metaphor, thrashing against their fragile resolve, but she refused to let it break them. She wasn't just fighting for their evening, she was fighting for a future that hinged on this pivotal moment. As they moved beneath a small awning, shielding themselves from the relentless downpour, Jessica quickly scanned the area. Friends rushed by, slipping and laughing, trying to salvage decorations or gather the kids. The intimacy of the moment felt surreal against the backdrop of the storm. "Mark, look at them," she whispered, nodding toward the growing group huddled together, laughter mingling with the sound of raindrops drumming against the roof. "They're not running away. They're coming together." Mark's expression shifted slightly, something flickering across his face. It was like a soft light breaking through the heavy clouds. He took a deep breath, and the fight in him began shifting. "Maybe," he began, voice low but determined. "Maybe it's not about whether I can meet expectations." He turned his gaze toward the cheerful chaos outside, absorbing their energy. "Maybe it's about just being here, letting them in. Letting us in, too." Jessica felt hope blossom in her chest. They weren't just surviving, they were learning to lean on each other. This realization ensnared them as they observed their friends rising to the occasion, bringing joy amidst the sad box of balloons that had burst from the rain. Suddenly, a rush of laughter erupted as one of the teenagers from the neighborhood came bounding across the lawn, drenched from head to toe but holding a sloshing cooler filled with lemonade. "Who's ready for rain drinks?" she called out cheerfully, her enthusiasm infectious. Others responded, and soon, a parade of friends gathered, all beaming through the rain. In that moment, Mark laughed deep and genuine. Jessica squeezed his hand tighter. This wasn't just a celebration of Mark's past, it was a celebration of resilience and connection woven through shared experiences. The storm wasn't just raging around them, it had sparked a collective moment of bravery. They were brimming with emotion, shaken but not shattered. Amid the chaos, Jessica caught sight of her two kids, laughing and splashing in muddy puddles with their friends. They were weaving a memory together, untainted just by the rain, and it filled her with warmth. Mark's brow furrowed for a moment, and Jessica sensed a thought brewing behind those stormy blue eyes. What if we turned this around? He mused aloud. What if we make the best of it and invite everyone to join us? We could do something different. The thrill of his words sent a jolt through Jessica. A burst of ideas flooded her mind. A party, an event that could redefine everything they'd been through. A celebration. She exclaimed. Not just for you, but for everyone. As they stood there, the rain drenching their clothes but not their spirits, Mark's face brightened. Let us show them that we can turn this storm into something beautiful, he said, the weight of expectations shifting to excitement. Jessica couldn't help but smile. They were already emerging from the darkness together, ready to embrace whatever came next. But just as they planned their next steps, the clouds thinned slightly, revealing a hint of twilight. A rainbow began to form in the distance, a shimmering promise above the world below, but would they be able to capture this moment, this deep sense of unity and hope, and make it last? As they went back into the crowd, both exhilarated and apprehensive, the air buzzed with anticipation, and the sound of voices cheering echoed around them. What would it take for them to turn this moment into a life-changing memory? Jessica felt a bubbling anticipation rise within her, but what new challenges awaited them in this next chapter? Jessica felt a surge of energy as she looked around her. The rain was still falling, but it suddenly felt like a part of the celebration instead of an obstacle. The unexpected joy surrounding her seemed to ignite a fire within. Maybe we start with the lemonade, she suggested, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Let us gather everyone around and make a toast, celebrate this wild night we never planned. Mark grinned, catching her enthusiasm. You're right. Let us create a moment right here that nobody will forget. With a hand on his back, Jessica led the way, calling out for everyone's attention. Hey everyone. Can I get your help here? She shouted, her voice ringing through the rain. As the crowd turned their eyes towards her, curious and excited, she felt a jolt of nerves mixed with exhilaration. Mark stepped closer, offering his warmth. She could sense his support, grounding her in that vibrant chaos of color and laughter. With all this rain, we didn't get the party we planned. But look at us. We're together, and isn't that what really matters? She paused for a moment, catching breathtaking glimpses of their friends nodding with appreciation. Let us make a toast. Just us, together, with lemonade. Cheers erupted around them, and soon Jessica spotted the teenager with the cooler. As she handed out cups, she felt the weight of hope blooming like the rainbow above them. Everyone poured lemonade, their faces lighting up with every splash. Mark raised his cup first, his voice clear above the swirling noise. To friends. Here and now. To our shared moments, like rain and sun. The phrase carried a weight that resonated with the crowd. The guests echoed back his sentiments, their cheers melding together in an anthem of togetherness. Laughter bubbled in the air, drowning out the storm. As they sipped lemonade, Jessica's heart swelled with gratitude. She caught sight of her kids, still splashing joyfully in the puddles, and felt a strong urge to share this moment with everyone there. Mark caught her eye, and she could see the wheels turning in his mind. She inclined her head slightly, and his gaze sparked with clarity. What else can we do? Let us keep this momentum. He said, an idea blooming. We can turn the lawn into a dance floor. No rain can dampen our spirits. A shiver of excitement pulsed through the crowd. People started moving to create space, cheers affirming Mark's words. A few teens began to set up music from their phones, pulling everyone closer. As the beat began, Jessica felt herself sway to the rhythm. Laughter spilled from her lips as friends grabbed each other and danced wildly under the downpour. It felt electric, a release of all their burdens, everything that had weighed on Mark's shoulders. With each movement, the worry and uncertainty seemed to wash away, leaving only joy. Jessica spun around, finding herself enveloped by laughter and tears of happiness. In that magical chaos, she spotted an old friend she hadn't seen in ages, and they embraced, sharing stories lost in time, yet amidst the laughter, she caught sight of Mark watching, a flicker of fear returning in his expression. It softened just as quickly, though, as he turned back to the laughter, slowly allowing himself to believe in this unfolding reality. The rainbow outside glimmered brighter, casting colors across their faces, embodying the union of joy with the storm. But then, as the music intensified, Jessica felt a strange pulse in her heart. What was this feeling? Was it another wave of hope or something deeper? Just as she allowed herself to let go completely, she caught a glimpse of a shadow whispering from the corner of her vision. There was something there, something in the midst of their newfound wonder, a secret lurking, waiting. What was Mark hiding, and how would it change everything they just built? As the rain poured on, laughter swirled around them like a breeze, but Jessica sensed a sudden shift. Would they be able to withstand the truths waiting to be unveiled amidst this joyous storm? As Jessica danced, lost in the rhythm and joy, a chill trickled down her spine. The laughter around her felt bright, but shadows loomed at the edges of her mind. Mark's expression lingered in her thoughts. Her happiness made her question the flicker of fear that had flashed across his face. With every beat of the music, she tried to focus on the present. She admired her friends spinning in circles, her children laughing as they splashed in puddles. Yet, the discomfort wouldn't slip away. It nagged at her, like a whisper she couldn't quite catch. Jess. Mark's voice broke through her reverie. He was closer now, motioning for her to step aside. Can we talk? She glanced around at the joyful chaos, hesitant to leave the magic of the moment. But the urgency in his tone pulled her away from the crowd, close enough that they could still hear the laughter but far enough to feel the gravity of their conversation. What's up? She asked, anxiety bubbling under her surface. You're missing out on the dance floor. He looked serious. You need to know something. Jessica's heart raced. Was he going to ruin this? Their perfect night? She shook her head slightly, trying to dispel the impending doom that wanted to settle over her. Just tell me, she replied. I've been working on a big surprise. Well, at least it's been in the works for a while. I was going to unveil it tonight if it didn't rain. But I'm worried now. His voice trailed off, uncertainty spilling into his eyes. What kind of surprise? She asked. It felt like they were wading through charged water, each word ticking like a clock counting down. Mark took a breath, glancing over his shoulder as if the laughter could give him strength. A new job offer came in. One I've been dreaming of. But it requires us to move across the country. Jessica's heart slammed against her ribs. The weight of his words sat heavy in the air. You mean, we could leave? Just like that? I know it's sudden, he rushed to explain. But it's a big opportunity. A chance for me to build something meaningful. I thought about it for a long time. I wanted to share it tonight to celebrate the new beginning. She stared at him, getting lost in the storm of emotions swirling inside her. Her mind raced ahead to her kids, their friends, the home they loved. Mark, it doesn't sound like it's only about you. What about all of us? The kids haven't even adjusted to this place. We just found our moment. Mark's face twisted with pain, like he was battling demons his words had unleashed. I understand. But this could change everything for us, Jess. A new start, an adventure. I thought you'd be excited. We could explore, be a family in new ways. What if we lose everything that brought us together in the first place? She shot back, her voice trembling. What if we don't find a new home that feels like this one? He stepped closer, desperation woven into his plea. I promise we'll find a way to make it work. But we have to consider it, Jess. I want you on board with this. A hush rolled over her as she registered the heart behind his words. The primeval urge to cling to what they had battled with the pull of dreams once she never even considered. Suddenly, she felt the weight of everyone's joy pressing in on her. Those radiant smiles, the laughter that enveloped the air, it all felt fragile. They had fought so hard to knit the fabric of their lives together, and now everything hung on the brink of change. Can we talk about this more? Later? She murmured, glancing back toward their friends, still lost in their revelry. The storm is here, Mark. Let us not let it ruin our night. He nodded slowly, the tension in his shoulders easing slightly, but uncertainty still flickered behind his eyes. Okay, he agreed softly. We'll figure this out together. But even as they turned back to the crowd, Jessica felt the tremor of change in the air. Could they really navigate this new path? Or would the shadows return to threaten the joy they found? As she stepped back into the music, a soft tremor echoed within her, a warning of challenges yet to come. Could love withstand the trials of transformation, or would they find themselves lost in the storm of unexpected choices? Jessica felt the beat of the music wrap around her, but it was a flimsy blanket against the chill in her heart. As she rejoined the group, laughter bubbled up like it always did, but this time, her smiles felt forced. Each twirl and splash from her kids seemed like a reminder of everything they could lose. It made her stomach twist. The evening went on, buoyed by the energy of her friends, but Mark's words loomed over her. She watched him dance with their children, the sunlight catching the edges of his smile, and she felt the cruel tension between desire and dread carve deeper into her chest. When Valerie, her closest friend, caught her eye, she pulled Jessica back into the circle, coaxing her into a playful spin. Come on, Jess. Live it up. Tonight's special. Yeah, special, Jessica echoed, her voice trailing as she found herself lost in thought again. The moment felt hollow, as if she was merely acting a part in a scene that had strayed from its script. Hey, are you okay? Valerie's voice was soft, but it cut through the haze surrounding her. You seem off. Jessica forced a smile, but it felt like masking tape over cracks. Just thinking about some stuff, family stuff. Mark? Valerie prodded gently. Yeah, Jessica sighed, glancing over at her husband, who was ruffling the kids' hair, laughter bursting forth between them like fireworks. He has this huge job opportunity. But it means moving away. Valerie's expression shifted from concern to excitement. Wow. That could be big. An adventure even. You'd be up for the challenge, right? Jessica's chest tightened. I don't know. What if he's only thinking about himself? What about the kids? Their roots, their friends? They're resilient, Valerie smiled, her optimism unwavered. Kids adapt. They can make new friends. Isn't that what our generation did? Yeah, and look where that got us, Jessica muttered under her breath, scanning the room again. Living different lives in different places, but was it really worth the toll? Are you afraid of change? Or afraid of what he wants to change? Valerie's question cut right to the chase. Jessica opened her mouth to respond but paused, realizing this wasn't just about Mark's dreams. It was about her own fears. Would she cling to past comforts or take the leap? She sighed, thoughts swirling like the colorful lights dancing over the crowd. I just want everyone to be happy. But, what if happiness means losing something we already have? Valerie reached out, placing a gentle hand on Jessica's shoulder. Sometimes happiness requires sacrifice. Ask yourself, what does happiness look like for you? Before she could answer, Jessica felt a wave of determination. I need to speak up. I cannot just let this happen without fighting for us. The music changed, a slow song wrapping around them, urging couples to gather close. Jessica felt her heart racing. She turned her gaze to Mark, who was making his way toward her with a newfound spark in his eyes. His confidence was palpable, but so was the vulnerability. Jess, he began, but the sincerity in his tone sent her heart racing. Can we talk for real? I want you to understand why this opportunity means so much to me. Mark, I have things I need to say too, she replied more firmly than she expected, an echo of courage rising against her fears. That he nodded, a mixture of understanding and anxiety shadowing his face. Okay. I'm listening. As they moved aside again, everything about that moment felt monumental. This wasn't just a conversation, it was a crossroads. They were standing on the edge, and Jessica realized that what would come next could redefine everything. Would they find a way to merge dreams and fears, or would this moment split them apart in ways they could never foresee? The crowd, the laughter, the music faded away as they braced themselves to face what lay ahead. Jessica took a deep breath, ready to unveil her feelings. After all, it was not just Mark with dreams, it was them. Together. But was the good of together enough to outweigh the risks of change? The air felt electric as Jessica and Mark stepped away from the colorful chaos of the party. A cluster of nearby partygoers enveloped in jovial chatter and laughter faded into a distant hum. Here, it was just the two of them, standing at the crossroads of their lives. Jessica looked up at Mark. His brow was slightly furrowed, the remnants of joy from dancing with the kids now giving way to something deeper, an unspoken weight pressing down on them. She could see a flicker of apprehension in his eyes, mirroring her own. "I know this is big for you, Mark," she started, collecting her thoughts like marbles scattered on a floor. "But it feels like you're thinking about the future without considering what that would really mean for us, for our family." He ran a hand through his hair, glancing away for a moment. "Jess, I want us to thrive, you know? This job could change everything. It's not just about me getting ahead. It's about giving us more opportunities." His voice cracked slightly, revealing the trembling hope in his heart. "Opportunities?" Jessica echoed, feeling the sting of frustration mix with fear. "What about the opportunities we have right here? The kids' friends, our routines, their school. Everything is here. They have roots." "I get it. I do," he said, his tone shifting to one of understanding. "But what if we keep them from growing? What if we're holding them back by keeping them in a place that no longer serves us?" "That's a valid point, but it doesn't answer my biggest concern," she said, fists clenched at her sides, voice trembling slightly. "What if we lose each other in the process?" Mark stepped closer, reaching out to her gently. "You won't lose me," he whispered, his eyes softened, moving with a sincerity that tugged at her heart. "But it feels like I'm already losing you by not sharing this with you." Jessica felt her breath hitch. "What do you mean?" "I've been thinking. Not just about the job, Jess. I have plans, ideas for a new beginning for us. A new home, yes, but also a space for us to really be us." He paused, gauging her reaction. "Something where we can reconnect, rebuild, bring the kids into something bigger." She swallowed hard, her mind racing. "Bigger? You mean change everything? For a job? What if this isn't what we really want? What if we don't thrive, but merely survive? Isn't that the risk we take with every decision?" Mark countered, his voice steady against the storm swirling inside her. "Pursuing happiness never guarantees a clear path." Jessica felt the tears welling up, a mix of sadness and courage. "I don't want to jump off that cliff without knowing if you'll be there to catch me. What if happiness isn't out there but right here?" His eyes narrowed slightly, and he leaned in closer, dropping his voice to a soft, urgent murmur. "Then let us find a way to make happiness our own. But I need you to believe in me and us." Caught between the gravity of his request and the weight of her own doubts, Jessica felt herself teetering. What if she said no? They would remain stagnant, or would it instead push Mark further away? "Mark, if we do this, if we leap, we need to do it together," she said, a light flickering in her heart. "You need to promise me that." "Together," he echoed, gripping her hand tightly like a lifeline. But even as they held onto each other, the uncertainty loomed. Did their unity truly guarantee security, or was this just the beginning of something that could pull them apart? Just then, a familiar laugh from one of the kids broke the tension. Jessica turned, catching sight of their daughter twirling under the twinkling lights, full of joy and innocence. "She's so happy," Mark said, squeezing Jessica's hand tighter. "Can we keep that happiness alive?" Jessica asked quietly, more to herself than to him. In that moment, they both knew something essential hung in the air, waiting for them to grasp it. The world awaited their next move, but would they step forward together or apart? As they stood in silence, the melody of the party faded into the background, giving way to the heartbeat of their unresolved dreams. What lay ahead was uncharted, but one thing was certain: they couldn't face it without confronting their deepest fears and desires. When morning came, the reality of their conversation would still resonate. Would they dare to embrace change, or would the path of uncertainty push them into corners of their hearts they feared to explore? Jessica stood there, her heart pounding. The laughter of their daughter, now mingling with the soft melodies of the party, felt like a haunting echo of days gone by. Every twirl, every giggle, was a reminder of the life they had built, a life rooted in familiarity and comfort. But the weight of Mark's words hung in the air like an unresolved chord. Let us find a way to make happiness our own. Those words throbbed in her mind. What did that even mean? She looked up at Mark, his features illuminated by the soft glow of the fairy light strung overhead. There was determination etched into his face, but also a vulnerability that told her this was no easy decision for him either. What if we have to sacrifice too much, Mark? Jessica's voice was barely above a whisper, trembling as it slipped out. What if this is just a distant dream? The dream can become reality, he insisted, brushing a stray tear from her cheek with his thumb. But I can't do it alone. I need you beside me, believing in us. She felt torn. Inside, a storm was brewing. The fear of losing her family, of losing Mark, battled against the longing for something more. She had watched him work tirelessly for years, and maybe this was his moment to break free, to soar. But the risk felt enormous. Their daughter spun again, her arms wide and her laughter bright against the darker tones of their conversation. Jessica's heart swelled with love, but it also ached with the weight of uncertainty. And what about the kids? Will they adjust? She asked, her voice only as steady as her resolve. Every change is tough, Mark said. But it can also be beautiful. Let us show them that growth is a part of life. We can take this leap together. They'll have the chance to explore new opportunities too. As Mark spoke, his fervor igniting his passion, Jessica felt her heart shift. She knew he was right, they could find a way to integrate their children into this new life. There was a part of her that wanted this adventure. The thought of new schools, new friends, perhaps even a more vibrant life for all of them danced tantalizingly in her mind. But fear tugged at her, keeping her tethered to the known comforts of their current life. What if we fail? She finally asked, the air thickening with the weight of her concern. What if we're not happy in this new place? Sitting still wouldn't make us happier either, Mark shot back gently but firmly. What if we look back one day and regret not taking this chance? Jessica sighed, leaning into Mark, grounding herself in him. She felt his heart beating beside hers, a steady rhythm that reminded her they were stronger together. She closed her eyes, breathing in his warmth, allowing her mind to wander to possible futures. Their daughter thriving in new friendships, their son discovering new hobbies. It was scary, yes, but maybe also beautiful. Okay, she finally breathed out, feeling a mixture of resignation and courage. Let us figure this out. Together. Mark's relieved grin lit up the shadows in the night. You mean it? I mean it. But we have to be honest about our needs, our fears, she replied, searching his eyes for confirmation. It has to be a partnership. Absolutely, he said, squeezing her hand once more. We can draw a map for this journey. Lay it all out. Their newly ignited hopes began to combine with flickering doubt. Jessica's head swirled with possibilities, dreams forming alongside the anxieties. But the connection they shared took precedence, guiding her forward despite the uncertainty of what lay ahead. Tomorrow, let us sit down and map it out, okay? Mark said, his voice building with excitement. Sure, but we also have to prepare for the hard parts, Jessica stated, knowing they would need to address the inevitable struggles together. As they stood there, holding on to each other under the canvas of future possibilities, Jessica couldn't shake the questions lingering in her heart. Was this leap into the unknown worth the risk? And as their daughter spun one last time, laughter ringing through the night, the resounding question echoed, would this be a beautiful beginning or an unforeseen disaster? Tomorrow would reveal the path they were destined to take, but for now, both hope and fear danced hand in hand, entwined in the promise of what might come next. The morning sun crept through the curtains, casting a warm glow across their bedroom. Jessica lay there, tangled in sheets and dreams, her mind swirling with last night's conversation. Each thought spoke a different language of fear, hope, and uncertainty. She sat up and stretched, glancing at Mark, who was still asleep beside her. His face held a serene expression, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing inside her. She had agreed to take a chance, to explore a world beyond the safety of their bubble. Yet the unknown loomed larger than it ever had before. Shuffling out of bed, Jessica moved to the kitchen, the aroma of brewing coffee flooding her senses, and inches of apprehension faded with every sip. As she glanced at the family photos lining the walls, a wave of nostalgia washed over her. There they were, with the kids playing in the yard, Mark's arm wrapped lovingly around her shoulder. Each snapshot whispered a story of joy and comfort, but if she looked closely, they also revealed a sense of stagnation. Could this new journey breathe life back into their family? Mommy. Their son, Ethan's voice broke her reverie. He bounded into the kitchen, his hair tousled, eyes sparkling with morning energy. Can we have pancakes today? Absolutely. She smiled, feeling a flicker of energy ignite in her chest. Let's make it a big breakfast. As the smell of pancakes filled the air, she and Ethan sang and danced around the kitchen. Laughter bounced off the walls, creating a warmth that seeped deep into her heart. It was these small moments that anchored her, confirming that happiness was still tucked within the folds of her family life. "Where's Daddy?" Ethan asked, flipping a pancake with exaggerated enthusiasm. "He's sleeping in. He worked hard last night," Jessica replied, her heart fluttering at the thought of Mark. They were building something new together, and she was grateful for his partnership. After breakfast, they all gathered, the cozy kitchen buzzing with excitement. Mark joined them, his hair still tousled but a smile illuminating his face. "What's all this energy about?" He chuckled, glancing between Jessica and the kids. "Pancakes and plans," Ethan exclaimed, his eyes wide with anticipation. The chatter turned toward what they might explore in this new life. Jessica laid out a rough idea of moving to the city, suggesting schools and parks, art classes, and museums. "I want to show you a world full of opportunities," she stated, her voice gaining strength. Mark nodded, jotting down notes, his enthusiasm clear. They discussed their hopes and fears openly, diving into the details of how their lives might change. Each idea sparked a flurry of questions from the kids. It felt exhilarating. They were crafting a vision together, like artists painting a vibrant canvas, yet, as Jessica watched Mark's fervor, she also felt a shadow of doubt creeping in. He seemed so driven, but was he prepared for the realities of this move? Would he still be supportive when the thrill wore off, and the challenges emerged? After the meeting of minds, Mark turned to Jessica, his expression shifting. "I have something to share with you, something that might help," he began, his tone serious. She felt a knot in her stomach tighten. "What is it?" "I've been working on a plan, a secret plan, for a while now. It involves an opportunity one didn't want to mention too soon," he said hesitantly, looking into her eyes for a reaction. Jessica's heart raced. Was he about to unveil something that could further complicate things? "What kind of opportunity?" she asked, trying to steady her voice. Mark took a deep breath. "A job offer in the city. It's a huge step, but it could support our dreams." Hope and fear clashed within her in an instant. Could this be the key to unlocking their future, or another hurdle they'd have to face together? Just then, their daughter skipped into the kitchen, blissfully unaware of the weight of their conversation, clutching a hastily drawn picture of their family. Would this be the turning point for them, or another layer of complexity in a journey already fraught with uncertainty? Jessica's heart pounded with a mix of excitement and dread. What lay ahead in this uncharted territory? And as Mark's gaze held hers captive, questions loomed. Was this the beginning of their transformation, or just another complication in their quest for a happier life? The morning light streamed through the window, bathing the kitchen in a soft glow. Jessica stood by the countertop, her heart still racing from their earlier talk. She glanced at Ethan and Lily, their innocent chatter filling the room with playful energy. The kids were blissfully unaware of the weighty decisions pressing on their parents' hearts. "Mommy, can I color today?" Lily's bright voice jolted Jessica from her thoughts. Of course, sweetie. Let us make some amazing art. Jessica replied, forcing a smile. But behind her facade, anxiety gnawed at her. Mark's revelation about the job had turned her world upside down. A job offer in the city, those words echoed in her mind, sparking both excitement and fear. Mark entered the kitchen, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. What's the plan today, team? His smile was contagious, yet Jessica noticed the faint hint of exhaustion behind it. We're discussing color masterworks. Jessica announced, trying hard to keep her tone light. Art over a job? Challenging choice. He replied with a wink, but Jessica could see the seriousness bubbling just beneath the surface. As the day went on, Jessica pushed the uncomfortable thoughts aside. Together, they cooked lunch, laughed at silly jokes, and had the kids join them for backyard games. They played tag, and for a moment, everything felt perfect. Yet, as the evening approached, Jessica could feel the heaviness settling once again. It was time to talk, to unpack all they had swept under the rug during the day. Mark, she said, her voice steady but hesitant. We can't ignore the job. We need to figure out what this means for us. Mark paused, setting down his drink. You're right. I've been thinking a lot about it, and I want you to know I'm not rushing into anything. It's just an opportunity I've dreamed about. But I want to know what you truly think, what you really want. Jessica took a deep breath, needing to put everything on the table. I love our home, our community. It feels safe. The idea of moving scares me. What if the kids don't adjust? What if this change tears us apart? Mark stepped closer, a gentle yet earnest expression on his face. I understand. But sometimes staying safe means staying stuck. I don't want to risk losing our dreams because we're scared of a leap. Tears pricked at her eyes. It wasn't just about fear, this was her family. Mark, this isn't just yours. We're a team. What if we look back and regret? What if we lose us? His expression softened. Jessica, I love you and the kids. I want to let this job come between us. The goal is to create something better, a space for us to grow. The truth in his words began to unravel the tight knot of anxiety within her. I know deep down your hope comes from love for us. It's what keeps you fighting for a brighter tomorrow. But I need to feel that we'll make this decision together as partners. Together, he affirmed, reaching out to take her hands in his. This is about building a life, transcending just surviving and maybe even restoring us. It's our chance to create new memories. To chase a future filled with joy. Holding his gaze, Jessica began to feel a flicker of hope. What if we start small? Explore, take a couple weekends to visit the city before considering a move? Let the kids see it, experience it. A spark ignited in Mark's eyes. That's a brilliant start. Let us try it. A family adventure. As they made plans, Jessica felt the tension release, letting her imagination soar. With each detail they discussed, something shifted. The idea of transformation began to feel possible, not just daunting. The conversations in the following days flowed more freely. Discussions turned into excitement, and nervous hesitations transformed into plans that had color and vibrance. They lined up playdates for their kids' new friends in the city, scouted housing options, and signed them up for art and music classes. The dream was sculpted into something more tangible, more alive. One evening, as they prepared dinner, laughter echoed through their home. But above the noise, Jessica recognized a deeper change. Their family was moving from fear toward hope. Mom. Lily chirped, holding out her drawings. I made this for the new house. Jessica's heart melted. Her daughter's innocence was a reminder of the beauty in uncertainty. Wow, these are beautiful. Just like you. Jessica replied, pulling her into a warm hug. Moments like these anchored her, whispering promises of what could be. And as things began to shift, love began to blossom in unexpected ways. One rainy afternoon, Mark took Jessica's hand. Look at what you've built for us, a basis of trust, togetherness, vision. We are ready for this next chapter. The weight of the conversation transformed into empowered anticipation. At that moment, she realized that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would weather the storm together. They'd become a family not just surviving, but thriving in life's embrace. The night of their departure dawned, and a new journey unfolded before them. As they piled into their van, Jessica caught a glimpse of the familiar cornfields, feeling bittersweet. But then, looking into the faces of her loved ones, she found solace. "Ready?" Mark asked, an optimistic gleam in his eye. "Let us go," she declared, filled with a mix of excitement and nervousness, and as they drove away, the sun peeked through the clouds, casting a brilliant rainbow in the sky, a promise of hope illuminating their journey ahead. She felt Mark's hand squeeze hers, and with it, a renewed faith in their commitment to navigate change together. They were embarking on a new adventure, and that made all the difference. As they crossed into the new beginning, Jessica couldn't help but smile. Together, they were unstoppable. The future was waiting for them, full of promise, love, and the wondrous unknown. Would they thrive? Only time would tell. But one thing was clear: no matter the challenges, they were embarking on a journey that would transform them. Together, now it's your turn. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.